Packages are a core component of Node.js, but what are Node packages? Well, Node packages are pieces of code that are written to do a specific thing, and then you can download and utilize these packages inside of your Node.js applications. Sometimes these packages are very large, and sometimes they're very small. It really just depends on what the package does. So let's go ahead and see how we can initialize a Node.js project, how we can download and install these packages, and how we can utilize these packages as well. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to find or create a folder that we're going to store our application in, preferably an empty folder. So I've gone ahead and I've got my empty folder right here. This is where I'm going to install all of my packages to. Now the first thing that we need to do once we've got our empty folder is we need to open this folder in the terminal. So we're going to right click and click open in terminal. If you can't do that and you don't have that context there, you can also open up your command prompt and you could copy the path to the folder, and then you could say cd, and then you can right click, which should paste that value in, and you can hit enter. That will change your directory in your terminal to the current directory of this folder here. So the next thing we need to do is we actually need to initialize our npm project. So to do that, we are going to say npm init, just like this, and it's going to walk us through a few steps. So it's going to ask us a few questions. The package name, you can type whatever you want here for the package name. I'm just going to leave it as the default of code here. Hit enter. The version number, we don't really care about that. You can write a description of the project if you want to. I'm just going to leave it blank. It's asking for an entry point. Now this entry point we will get to in a future video, but right now we can just leave it as index.js. Test command, we don't need to worry about that right now. Get repository, we don't need to worry about that. Keywords, author, you can put author, your name and author if you want. License, we don't care about that either. And then it asks if this is okay. We hit enter for yes, and that is going to initialize our npm project. And we're going to get something called a package.json file inside of here. And I'll get back to the package.json file here in just a moment. So the next thing that we need to do is we need to find our package that we want to install. Luckily, we have a website that we can search for packages here. So if you go to npmjs.com, this is the official website for searching for npm packages, and we can search for just about any package that we want. So I found a basic small package that we're going to use for just for demonstration purposes for this video. So this package is called colors, and if we search for colors here and we click on the first one that pops up, you're going to see the documentation for this package. Now on this page here, we've got all kinds of information about this package. We've got installation instructions, we've got documentation, and then down here we've got usage, and we'll get to the documentation here in just a moment. Then we've got the GitHub repo where this is stored at, and we've got information about the amount of downloads that this thing gets, the version that it's currently on, and when it was last uploaded. So let's go ahead and install this package in our application. So let's go ahead and open up our terminal, where the terminal path is the current path where we want to install our packages at. And we're just going to follow the installation instructions down here by running npm install colors. And if we hit enter, we are going to get it hold for a second, and it's going to say added one package. Now if we go back to our folder here, we can see that we've got two different things here. We've got a package lock.json, and then we've got a node modules folder. Now this node modules folder is where we're going to store all of our packages, and you don't really need to open up the node modules folder. There's no real reason to, but you can play around with it. But if you break something, remember you'll have to install the package again. again. So be careful with playing around with it. But you can see the different folders and files inside of our Node modules folder. And as I said, this is where all of our packages are downloaded to whenever we run the npm install command. But now that we've installed our Node packages, let's go ahead and open this up with our code editor. So I'm just going to open this up with Visual Studio Code here, and I'm just going to go ahead and close this terminal because we no longer need it. So you can see that I've opened this with VS Code here, and let's just go ahead and create a file. So we're going to create an index.js file, and this is going to be our per se entry point, and generally you want to call it app.js or index.js, whatever, it really doesn't matter. But we are going to create a JavaScript file in here, and this is going to be our main JavaScript file where everything starts at. Now remember, we're not in the browser anymore, so we're not going to have any HTML or CSS files, just JavaScript files. So let's go ahead and pull in that package into our project here that we just downloaded and installed. Now all we have to do is we need to create a constant, and we can name this whatever we want. I'm just going to name it colors, and we're going to set that equal to a require statement, and we are going to require colors, and that's going to pull that package in for us so that we can utilize it inside of our code. Now, based on what the documentation says, we can do this where we console.log, and we can log out a string, so we could say, hello, this text is green, and then we can extend the string, and we could say .green, just like this. And if we save that, now we have to actually run this file. So to run a Node.js file, all you have to do is hit Control and tilde. That's the key underneath of the escape key, usually. Or you can go up to Terminal and you can click on New Terminal. And inside of the built-in terminal in VS Code, we could say Node, and then we could run the index.js file. And if we click enter on that, we can see, hello, this text is green, and the text itself is actually green. And we can change this to all kinds of different colors. We could say this is green.bg blue. And if we do that now and run that, you can see we've got green text with a blue background. It looks white with the blue background, but the text is actually green under there. But the main takeaway I want you to get from this is that we can run Node.js files. We can run any JavaScript file, really, using the terminal by using the command node and then followed by the file name that we want to execute. And it has to be the path to the name from the current directory that you're in. So when I say node./index.js, I say in the current directory, find the file called index.js. Now, if we had something like this, we say had a folder, and we had that index.js file inside of that folder. Now we would have to run node./folder/index.js. So we have to point to the path of the file, so the path to the file from the current directory that we're in. And if we hit enter, we get the exact same result. So node is the command that you will always run whenever you want to run a Node.js application or a JavaScript file in general, and then you can just follow that up by the path to the file along with the file at the very end. So just as a quick review, we can require packages, so we can pull packages in to our applications using the require keyword. Now, whenever you're working with packages, these are not per se official things inside of the language itself. It's other things that other people have written for you that do specific things. So you really have to read the documentation for each specific package whenever you are utilizing a package, and you'll get better at reading documentation as you work more with these packages. But you really have to read the documentation to see how it's written and how you can utilize that package in your application. But we require the package using using the require keyword, passing in the package name, and then we can run Node.js files or JavaScript files in general. Any JavaScript file you can run like this by saying node, and then we can point to the path of the file. So the whole path from where your terminal currently is. Now let's take a look at this package.json file here. So the package.json file is basically your entire application in just one file. Now I don't mean that it's going to run your application. I mean it shows all of the information about your application. So it shows all of the dependencies here. This is really what I'm after here, is the dependencies here. So the dependencies is the packages that you've got installed, and it will show the name of the package along with the version number of the package. And this is important because whenever you push this stuff to GitHub and maybe you want to share it with other coworkers or other people, you don't want to push all of those node modules, that node modules folder, that doesn't get pushed to GitHub. Whenever someone downloads your application from GitHub, they will have to install the node modules themselves. And to do that, we'll see that here in just a second, but you need to have this package.json file updated, and that way whenever they go to install those node modules, they know what node modules you need to install. Now there's a very easy way to do this. In fact, you can already see it right here. Whenever we install a module or a package, it's going to be automatically added to this package.json file, so you don't have to worry about manually adding it yourself. And whenever someone downloads this file, they can easily run in their terminal npm install. So let's see how this works here. So I'm just going to go ahead and just completely delete the node modules folder. So I just went ahead and completely deleted the node modules folder. Now if we try to run this command again, we are not going to get it working. It's not actually going to work because that node modules folder is no longer there, so it cannot pull that colors package anymore. So you can see down here in the terminal, we cannot find module colors. So now if we run npm install without a package name after it, and we click enter, it's going to go into that package.json file. As long as we have one at least, it's going to go into that package.json file, and it's going to look through that list of dependencies, and it's going to install every dependency that is listed inside of that list of dependencies. And you can see now right here, it says added one package again. So now if we run that file again, we are going to get that working again. And that is about it for how you can initialize a brand new project and how you can get started downloading and installing these node packages, along with how you can run JavaScript files directly in a terminal just using the node command. But we didn't really go into anything major in this video. That's because in the next video, we are going to actually utilize all of this and start learning how we can create an actual server for our backend web applications. So stick around for that. Otherwise, if you did like the video, make sure you slap a like on it. Check out the full playlist, link is right down there. Make sure you subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.